That should just come right off. Right here on the little starter gear that's hooked up to the starter, I think this is grinding. Alright, welcome to part 4 on the Can-Am DS650 from 2000. As you guys know, we picked this thing up for $900. The whole top end was completely torn off of it. Came with a bunch of parts. You can see they're all sitting right here in these two big boxes. Lots of extra parts, extra head, extra covers, cams, stuff like that. And we pieced it back together. And last video, we actually got this thing to start up for a brief second. It revved to the moon, and I quick shut it off so that nothing would happen to the engine. But today we're gonna go over the carburetor. We didn't do that last video. I think something might be getting clogged in the carburetor, causing it not to get any gas. A couple people in the comments said that they've got a DS650, and when they leave the choke on, it does rev to the moon like that. Maybe there's like an air leak in the engine or something as well. I'm not too sure, but maybe that's a common problem with the DS650s. So we're gonna clean out the carburetor, make sure that's all good. We'll probably try to start it without the choke today, see what happens with that. We got a new pickup coil for it. It's over here. Well, it's a used one, but where is it? Is it right here? Yeah, it's in here. Little pickup coil in there, so we can install that. This one's a little bit frayed, so we'll take off that cover, the stator cover, install that new pickup coil, and that should be a lot better. We were having some problems with the stator cover as well. Whenever I put the stator cover on, for some reason the starter doesn't want to rotate the engine. It's kind of like lagging, so I'm not sure if something's binding up in there or what, so we're going to take a closer look at that today as well. We gotta get off all the plastics, take a look at the carburetor, and then work our way to the stator. And then we gotta get the pipe all nice and snug. I think there might be an exhaust leak on this thing as well. Alright, we gotta get to the carburetor, sitting right here. Looks like it just comes off with a little screw right here. It should just pull right out. And then we've gotta get the throttle body off of there, which could also be the problem. Maybe the throttle cable is too short, or something weird like that. Yeah, I guess we'll take out the carburetor, then look underneath here. See what's going on with this. Come on. That should just come right off. Looks like that maybe was the culprit. Let's see if you put it back down, if the throttle goes back down. Yeah, the throttle's like all the way up right now. Check that out. This piece right here is supposed to be hitting that right there. So that is very high up. So the throttle is like really, really far up. That's our problem. So somehow the throttle cable is getting pulled. So maybe we have to look in here and see if something's wrapped up in there or something. I'm not too sure. Take a look up here, see if there's anything stuck. Doesn't look like it. Looks like it's all working pretty well. Something isn't right. I think the throttle cable might be too short. We're gonna look into it a little bit further. All right, so I think I fixed the carburetor issue. So what was happening is the throttle cable was a little bit too short. I trimmed off a little bit of the cable, like the little rubber piece, so it could fit further down into the slot that goes into here. And it pushed in there another probably ½ centimeter, and that gave us enough slack. So now if you look down there, you can see the slide way down there. See, there's that little tiny gap you can see through. That's basically closed. Or from the other side, you can see it's closed all the way. That's what we needed. That was half open when I took this off for the first time. So I think the carburetor is all good to go now. We're just gonna check and see if those jets are all cleaned out in there and give it a once over before we put the carburetor back in. But other than that, I think that was the main issue. So I think we solved that. We can see there was a little rust in the float bowl. It's a good thing we took that off. You can see the rust deposits in the corner there, and then some down there. The rest of the carburetor looks pretty clean though. We'll take it out, blow it out, and check out those jets in there. Alright, taking a look at the jets, the pilot was clogged a little bit, so it is a good thing we took these apart. We're running you can see a 65, I don't know if you guys can see that or not. Let's see if I can zoom in. Well, you get the point, it's a 65. For the main jet, we're running a 158 for the main. And that was clear. You can see it through there. So that one was clear. And then the other jet, this little guy, was clear as well. So, and the main jet went inside this little tube right here. And that was all cleaned out. So let's put the carburetor back together. I already sprayed through the carburetor with carb cleaner and then with an air compressor, so this should be all good to go. Put everything back together, and then we'll work on this stator situation right here. All right, got the carburetor back on. Everything seems nice and smooth. You can kind of hear it hitting, so that's a good sign on the carburetor. Let's move on to the stator and try to figure that out. We're going to take these pipes off again, and then in order to get to the stator, these pipes have to come off. So, or maybe we could just move it up and down like that. We'll see. All right, so we got the stator off, the stator cover off. I set this thing to top dead center, and we can see this is what it's supposed to look like at top dead center. So you can see the trigger for the pulsar coil, or the trigger coil, whatever you want to call it, the starter coil, all the same thing, which is right here, is going to be just touching that thing right at the end. So you can see the little, this is pretty much what signals a spark on the flywheel. That needs to be just right after the little metal piece coming down. And a guy on Facebook sent me this, and he's like, just check and make sure your timing's right. There's a timing mark right here, you can see. So that's where your timing mark's going to be, and you can see it through the cover when you've got the cover on. But yeah, that's right where it's supposed to be. So timing's all perfect on this thing. Let's try to figure out what is going on with this stator. I'm thinking what's happening is right here on the little starter gear that's hooked up to the starter, I think this is grinding on the stator. You can see there's some shiny metal, which means that it was recently taken off. And then there's some shiny metal right here. See how that's really shiny compared to the other parts? To me, that means that's probably the part where it's grinding and getting stuck. So, I don't know if we could put a washer there or what. Oh, that's missing a washer right there as well. There should be a washer right after that one. I don't know where that washer went to, but there should be a washer right on here as well. Must have fallen off when we started up the engine. So we gotta get a couple of washers on here, and then get this pulsar coil off and change that out with a new one. One right here is missing. That must have fallen off when the engine started. Alright, so here's the new pulsar coil. As you can see, it's in really good shape. You can see there's a green and a blue wire coming from it. On my other one, right here, you can see wire coming through. So it got shaved off right here and right here. And I was thinking that maybe it was grounding out to the stator. So let's replace that quick. It's just a couple screws, and then we just have to take a feeler gauge and make sure the gap between here and the surface of the flywheel, where it hits right there, is like, what does it need to be? It needs to be like point, let me see here, it's like the highest setting on my, it's like 0.03 inches, I think it needs to be. So let's get that all figured out there. New pulsar coil on there. The old one, you can see, had the wire coming through. I tried to duct tape it off just for the time being so it wouldn't ground out, but you can see that was also pretty ground down as well. So I think the previous owner didn't really set that gap, so it was rubbing every time that flywheel came around and just shaved it right off. It was supposed to be a little bit more out than that, but that's fixed. Let's see what happens when we put the stator back on now. Alright, we got the stator cover on. It cranks over really nicely now. I think what was happening is we were missing the gasket in there, so I put the gasket back in there and it worked right away. Or it could have been due to the grounding out of the pulsar coil. I think that was grounding out pretty good. So anyway, it's fixed. We're going to attempt to put some gas on the carburetor and see if we can get this thing to idle. I noticed that the oil light keeps on coming on and off. So we're going to run it for a couple seconds. Hopefully it idles, gets that oil circulating. We're going to see if that light goes off. If it doesn't go off, we're going to have to get a screwdriver and bleed it out through the oil filter canister. There's a little bleed screw behind here. Otherwise, there's going to be too much pressure in the engine and it can blow up. So we'll do that next. Let's just check the fluids here quick since we've got this. Yeah, there's coolant in there, that's good. Nothing's been leaking out of this thing either, so far. We haven't really run it to get hot, but so far so good in that end of things. But we'll get the gas going down the carburetor, and we'll attempt to get this thing to idle. Hopefully, fingers crossed, the carburetor fix that we just did is the key. All right, here we go, let's see what happens here. Well, she was idling, and the oil light came off as well. It'll probably turn back on now, but yeah, the oil light came off, so I think we were good. Right when we started it up, it turned right off, so I think the oil bled properly, and I think we were good to go there. The carburetor is leaking gas for some reason. I bet you there's a little speck of rust between the seat and the needle. So we're gonna try to clean that out again. But everything else seemed pretty good. It fired right up, idled. So we fixed the carburetor problem, which was awesome. And the pipes were smoking pretty good. I'm guessing it's burning off old crap that was on it, probably like WD-40. But yeah, everything else seemed to be going pretty good. I can hear a little clicking, so I think the timing chain is a little bit loose. We're gonna tighten that up quick and then come back and see if it does the same thing. All right, carburetor stopped leaking. I'm guessing it just needed to be fired up for a second and then it just stopped leaking. So I don't know what was going on there, but we're gonna start it back up again, see if we can get it to idle, see if we can get that cam chain to be less loud, and then we'll come back. Let's see what happens here. It's a little quieter there. I think we just have to run it for a little bit. It is idling still a little bit high, I feel like. So I might work on that carburetor a little bit and see if we can get it to idle a little bit lower. But otherwise, it's really not too bad. I was really worried about the oil light not turning off, but that turned off, so I think we're doing pretty good. The pipes are still smoking, so they must still be burning off stuff, but hopefully it's not like cooling or anything. Alright, so far so good. Hasn't blown up yet, so that's a plus. Alright, let's get a little more gas in here and try it again. Sounds pretty good. I don't hear any top end movement at all. Response is really good. Seems like it's got lots of power. But that it's still idling pretty high. I don't know what's going on with that. Let's see if we put the choke out. I wonder if it still idles up with the choke out. Yeah, still oils up pretty high. I think we gotta trim a little bit off this cable. It's just a little bit too, it's actually a little bit too long. So the piece that goes in there, we need to just trim off a little bit. Probably take a wire cutter and just trim off a little bit of that wire. Alright, I think we've got the throttle figured out. I lowered it even more, so it should idle perfectly now. Let's add a little gas in there and see what happens. Got her dialed in now. So our carburetor is fixed. Idle's pretty good. I actually had to adjust the idle up. We do have some room to play now, so that's good. I think next step is putting everything back on the quad. We've got the gas tank over there, the little plastic piece right here, and the seat. So, I mean, I let this thing run for probably a good 10 minutes now, and we don't have any leaks, we don't have any problems. It got up to temperature, so I think we're good to go. Let's fire it up one more time and make sure, and it starts right up every time. Sounds pretty good to me. All right, we've got to get the chain on there too. I don't know if I have a master link. I'm gonna look for the master link throughout all the parts over here and see if we can find a master link. If not, I'll have to quick run to the store, see if we can find one. All right, let's look at the gas tank. This thing is actually pretty small. This has to be like, what, a couple gallons? It's really small for a quad, which is really strange. Let's take a look on the inside, see what's going on in there. You can see there's some gunk in there. I don't know if you guys can see that. There's some like oily substance in there. So we're gonna get some gas going in there to flush it out, and then we can install the tank. I think the tank just mounts right. Oh yeah, right here. It's 2 bolt holes for the tank right here. Looks like rubber's going between there. All right, we got the gas tank cleaned out and somewhat on the frame here. There's a bunch of wires in the way, so I had to zip tie all these up to the frame. There's one wire that just is kind of stranded there, but everything else is kind of away from heat, I made sure, and can't burn up or anything. So there's supposed to be a spacer that goes in between here that I can't find. So I don't know what to do there, but otherwise everything looks like it's good to go. The CDI, I believe, bolts up right to the frame right here. Right like this. So I can bolt that up. And then what else? Oh, this guy should not be. I don't know why that's going like that either. That should be tucked underneath here. There. There. Now it's flat. Alright, let's try to find those spacers for the gas tank and get this all bolted up. Now we gotta figure out where this plastic piece goes. The gas tank is on. Gas tank plastic's on. I think this piece goes right here, but where does it bolt down to is the question. Oh wait, oh, we need to bolt this thing down first. Found a couple bolts for the plastics right here. Let's screw these guys in. Nice and tight. On the other side too. And there's a couple up here. Screw these in. Nice and tight. All right. I think all we have left is the seat. So let's grab the seat and try to get that to go on. Let's see here. There we go. It's all together. Look at that. It was once in pieces, and it's now all together. Everything looks pretty tight on here. Nothing's moving. All the plastics are tight. Gas tank's nice and tight. Alright, well, should we clean it up a little bit? Alright, let's start cleaning up some of the seat, the plastics. There's like a weird substance on there. It's really not mud, it's more of like spray paint that was left on it from before. It's really weird. Try to get this off. Maybe a pad like this. Yeah. See these dots over here? It takes quite a bit of work to get them off too. Alright, after about 30 minutes of cleaning, this is what we get. Looking pretty dang sweet. Look how clean that looks. Man. Looking pretty cool. Check how clean everything is. I also cleaned up the wheels a little bit. You can see there's Douglas wheels on these things. So, pretty nice set of wheels. I think only the back are Douglas. You can see in the back too. But yeah, she turned out pretty nice. Man, nice looking quad for 900 bucks. Let's go try to find the chain now. Let's see here. Got the chain right here. Let's see how many links we're missing. I think we're just missing the one. Probably just the master link. Let's just get the chain kind of on here, just to see how much we had to play with. I'm missing we're basically missing that master link. You guys can see down here. I mean, we're not missing too much. A little high temp paint. If there's any oil on it, get rid of that. Alright, that looks pretty good. That will harden once we start up the machine, but that's done. Another thing we're missing is the heat guard. It looks like it was taken off pretty recent because the bolts are still in there. Let's look in the pile for that. I don't think I could find it last time I looked. Take a look here. Not looking good. Yeah, I don't think it's in here. So that's another thing we need is the heat guard. Huh. Interesting, I don't know where that went to. I guess that's really like the only piece that didn't come with the machine was the heat guard. Everything else was pieced back together. It's all here. Missing the master link, air filter, heat guard, and I think that's pretty much it. It looks like at one point they were towing stuff with a hitch on here. Let's get that off and retighten this thing down. Here's the little hitch that came off. Heavy duty. Alright, well, she runs pretty good. Off the gas tank and everything. One thing I did notice is that the gas tank still leaks a little bit. What I'm thinking is happening is a little piece of rust is getting stuck between the needle and the seat. So what we're going to do is grab a filter and then attach it to the gas line and then clean up the carburetor one more time just to make sure that there's no more rust going in there, and that should stop the leaking. And then I do want to get a exhaust shield guard because this pipe gets really hot, and then we gotta get the master link for that. I did notice that this little piece is broken off right here for the engine case saver. We're gonna go try to find the case saver quick in the box of parts and see if we can find that. All right, found the case saver right here. Luckily there's 1, 2, 3 bolt holes that keep that on. So we're gonna find a couple bolts for this and then temporarily just bolt that down. All right, that's all bolted up. I didn't put the top one in because it doesn't line up. It must have like knocked off a little tab that had a screw hole in it. So we're just gonna leave it like that for now and go look for a chain link, a heat guard, an air filter. So anyway guys, we came close to riding it today, but you know, not quite there. I just want to make sure everything's perfect before we take it for the first ride. We got a lot accomplished today. We got this thing idling, running perfect. We got all the plastics, the seat all cleaned up and put back on. We got the pipe secured. We got the oil to pump through the system and bleed, and yeah, we got a lot accomplished. Next video, we'll be taking this thing for a rip for the first time. Hopefully the clutch works. I'm just hoping that the clutch works. That's basically all I'm worried about right now. Everything else works on it. I'm just hoping that the clutch does, and it does feel like it does, but you never know. So stay tuned for next video when we take this thing for the first ride. Anyway guys, thanks for watching. Thank you for subscribing. Until next time, we are out.